Why does it say I have a poor connection? I don't know. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining another episode of Pryce on Purpose, brought to you by Waist Off Podcast. I'm your host, Stacey Pryce. Today is an awesome hot day on Long Island. I hope you guys are doing well. How was your 4th of July? Was it good? Did you go out? What'd you do? Hey, cousins, how are you? I'm glad you're here. Good evening, Sonia. Blessings to you. Thank you so much. And Shasha! Greetings. Thank you guys so much for being here. Guys, as I always say, I really appreciate you joining for these talks because it helps me become a better speaker, but also it helps me to share information with others and also to learn. Today, hold on, let me click this one now. I didn't even click this one yet, baby. You went to work? Oh, snap. Well, I hope your work day went well, or you were able to see fireworks for 5 seconds. Oh man. All right. I'm trying to get this live stream going here also on Podbean. I'm trying something a little new today to do a little experiment. I don't know why it's telling me I have a poor connection, even though I have all bars for my internet. Whatevs. We are broadcasting live. Sonia says she ate dumpling and fish for her Independence dinner. That is so Jamaican. But it is a blessing, okay? Let me see. To get better audio, avoid echo, please use the mic, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Start. I said start before. Duh. Anyway, yeah. So, you don't do fireworks? Yo, that's crazy because let me tell you, when I was younger, I was actually telling my girlfriend this before. When I was younger, I would run. My mom remembers. I would run and hide and just not come out. I would be crying because I was so scared. Because I didn't know, it was the element of not knowing what or when, if it was going to happen. It was really scary. So I definitely understand. But yeah, today, guys, we are broadcasting all over the place. So, yeah, I can totally understand the fear. I totally understand the fear. But you know what? I actually went a year or two ago to the Macy's firework show, which was absolutely beautiful. And it was safe. It was fun for everyone. Let me stop. But anyway, guys, we are also broadcasting live on Clubhouse. I'm trying something a little different just to see how this works. I don't know why it's telling me to find a stronger signal. I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi and see what happens. But yeah, if you want to join the conversation, you could actually join on Clubhouse. So if you guys have Clubhouse, let me actually drop the link if you want to join this conversation. I thought it would be fitting to do this conversation. Actually, before I get started, as always, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it if you click like and click share on this video to share it with your friends and family. Also to share it with coworkers and be like, look, I know somebody that does this and she said some things. What do you think? Let's spice up the water cooler talk. But anyway, let me drop this link here just in case you guys actually want to join. Why is it saying I have a poor connection? I don't know what else to do, Clubhouse. What do you want me to do? Yeah, let me drop this here if you want to join. If you feel like you want to add some things as we get started. Just trying something a little new. That's the thing in life. You don't learn if you don't try something new. So that's what I was actually thinking about, because I was thinking, I said, is it possible to teach an old dog new tricks? And I don't know if you guys have heard this saying before. I know I've heard it a while ago. I'm just trying to pull up this article that I found. Okay, so this saying actually about teaching an old dog new tricks is actually something that was written in the 1500s. Wouldn't you like to know? Hopefully that website is right, because then I'd be wrong. But yeah, this is actually a term from the 1500s. And I found that interesting because I was like, from the 1500s? Has anything changed since then? What year is it? 2021? I had to look at my calendar, right? So the whole meaning, or this whole saying, came about because what people were saying is that, yeah, me neither. I didn't know. Teresa said she didn't know. I didn't know. Yeah, this was actually in a book from the 1500s. It was a phrase originated by Haywood in 1546 and is considered as one of the oldest, don't let me know if I'm pronouncing this wrong, idioms of Old English language. The oldest written record of it is in John Fitzherbert's The Book of Husbandry in 1534. Anyway, so I found that very interesting. I was just curious about it. And the whole meaning came about because they were saying, you can't make others change their habits. That's still true, right? You can't force somebody to change. You kind of have to allow them to change when they're ready, if and when, hopefully. If it's something that benefits them, you hope they change. Also saying that it is really difficult to make anyone learn something new or informative when he or she or they is least interested in catching it. And someone who has spent more than half of his or her or they or their life in bad habits, it is really difficult to teach them the righteous path, the righteous. So I find those true. Like those sayings are true. You can't force somebody to change. And I'm curious about what you guys think. Is it possible? So with what this site is saying, this is on theidioms.com. So thank you so much for writing about this. What do you guys think? Do you think it is possible? Let's not talk about animals now, because it is actually proven that you can teach dogs new tricks. It's actually beneficial to teach a dog when they're older, because younger dogs actually are all distracted. Does that sound like anyone? Us and animals, we are not that different. So even with humans, you can actually teach us things later in life and we'll greatly appreciate it and grasp it. But the most important thing is that we have to embrace it on our own. You can't force somebody. Like, I'm pretty sure all of us know someone, be like, so-and-so is always doing this, or so-and-so is always, I keep telling them to do this and do that, but they don't. You go like this, you throw your hands up, you're like, they don't want to listen to me. I told them, I warned them, they don't want to listen to me. The thing is, we kind of have to let others dictate their own paths. Like, although we mean well by providing advice, we mean well by providing information, we mean well by, like, somebody that's like, hey, can I borrow $20? It's like, you're always asking me for $20. Why don't you get a job? And they'll be like, yeah, tomorrow. I got an interview set up. I got something going. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I got it. And then like 6 months later, like, can I borrow $20? You're like, haven't we done this already? Like, haven't we done this already? Yes. But the thing is, what happens with, oh man, it's so funny. I said this was going to be recorded and I'm not recording it on my little doohickey here. So let me turn that on. But yeah, like, I'm pretty sure that we all mean well and the other person mean well as well, because what happens is, as humans, like, think about it, like when somebody introduces to you a new thing, it's kind of hard to grasp. Like, think about, did anybody take sequential 1 and 2? Okay. Mathematics. Okay. Let me tell you about that. That was hard for me to grasp. Some people be like, no sweat. Right. But for me, it was really hard to kind of adopt that thinking of these equations in my mind, because I was stuck on 1 + 1 = 2 and like 4 divided by 2 is X. You know what I mean? Like, I was stuck on that. So it was hard for me to grasp these new teachings, because I was just like, look, man, I'm just going to like copy what's in the book. Okay. But it's sometimes hard for us to change our habits, right? Like, think about, like, for me, I know, like, I'll get into this rhythm of doing something and then all of a sudden I stop doing it. And I'm like, this is so hard to do. And the reason is because I stopped. That's the reality of it. I actually stopped the momentum. So, or I let something step in front of that, right? So let's say you work out every day at like 2 p.m., right? Every day you get up, you work out at 2 p.m. But then one day at 2 p.m., you actually have a doctor's appointment. And you're like, not a problem. Tomorrow, I'll get back to it. But then tomorrow happens, and then 2 p.m., you're like, oh, I got to drop, one of the kids has to go to the doctor appointment now. You know what I mean? So now every day at 2 p.m., it seems like something's going on. So even though like you mean well to keep going, something could be happening in that place. And you're like, oh, I never like adapted to the change. I never like said to myself, like, let me, instead of doing 2 p.m., let me do like 12, because it seems like 2 p.m. is like not working because there's a lot of things going on. So the thing is, we have to look inside of ourselves, because that's true wisdom, right? I feel like true wisdom is not necessarily in the knowledge that we behold, but true wisdom is in the awareness of self. Because once you start to see like, okay, I keep missing these things, like what am I going to do to adapt to the change? Oh, let's not let an external circumstance dictate how I feel internally to execute the process. Like I need to like really figure this out, AKA plan it. You know? And that's the thing, like just like we spoke about like yesterday on spontaneity, if you happen to miss spontaneity, that's myself, Maria Daniels, Sean Dustin. We do a show every Tuesday at 7 p.m. called Spontaneity. So make sure you check that out. But we were talking about, I think a little bit after the show, about education. That's what kind of provoked this thought. And also, I don't know about you guys, like I was up really late yesterday. I ended up like reading my journal. You ever like, wait, first and foremost, do you guys keep journals? Like, let me know. You can say yes. You don't have to tell me what's in it. I'm just curious. You guys keep journals. You guys can respond on whoa, not from Boston. You guys on Podbean can respond as well. But I'm curious, like, do you guys keep journals? Because I keep a journal, and I have different journals from like years ago. And it's so interesting to see, like, even for me, my change in how I thought. Awesome. Risa says she keeps one. Shout out to Risa Bates. Go and check out her book, Deep Within, that is available all over the place now. Congratulations to you. Risa was actually on my podcast as well. So if you want to check that out, that is online. You can check the link tree. Let me pull that up if you guys want to listen to that. And we discuss literally like habits. It's kind of like what we're discussing now, right? Risa, like we're discussing like habit forming and how not to be so hard on yourself, right? So yeah, I was up early this morning. Like I went to bed at like after like 12, I was like playing Call of Duty, right? And my girlfriend's like, make sure you don't stay up late. You know, you always get up late. Don't stay up too late. I'm like, make sure you're in bed before midnight. I was like, yes, I'll do that. So I'm going through my journal, right? And I had written in it from like 2016. And I'm looking at it, I'm just like, like I've changed. I've changed since then. Like literally my journal entries went from, I'll just give you like an idea. My journal entries went from like another horrible day, you know, but that's just how it is, you know, this thing happened and this thing happened, but I can't do anything about it. So it is what it is. Like it was very like sad, depressing, and it seemed like I was allowing other things to control my life. And I felt, and I literally wrote, I'll share this with you. This is the link tree, by the way, so you could check out the podcast. But yeah, I literally wrote, what did I write? I wrote, I want to get this right. I literally wrote something along the lines of, I feel alone. Nobody understands me, like different things like that. Like, you know, this is never going to change. Like I'm stuck. And it was so interesting seeing me write that. Right. And I even had like on my recorder, I used to record notes to myself just to document like how I felt that day. And I'm looking, I'm like, dang, like that's crazy. Like I had to realize that my perception at that time was limited. I had limited perception, right? And I thought about, why is that? Why did I have limited perception? And I think we all know somebody with limited perception where it's like, they just like, you know what? I can't do anything about it. Like things that you know they can change. They're just like, I can't do anything about it. But we have to accept that for them. Because at the end of the day, that's just where they're at. You know, they always say, meet people where they're at. So that's just where they're at. You know what I mean? If they think that like, life sucks. Like, it's never going to get better. I can't change. Like, that's their reality. You know what I mean? However, what I realized is by me putting new information into my brain, literally, I went from being pessimistic, right, to being optimistic. And somebody say, like, how did that happen? You know, because there's some people out there that they wake up and the glass is half empty. Like, I remember writing to myself in my journal, I said, my glass is half empty. Because that's how I thought about everything. That's how I thought about the world. That's how I thought about myself. And the thing is, the way you see yourself is the way you see the world. Remember that. The way you see yourself is the way you see the world. So, for example, if you see the world as like a horrible place, it's a dangerous place, it's a sad place, that's coming from you. That's coming from you and what you put in your mind, right? It's so interesting. I'm reading this book. I think it's called, let me see. It is called, let me get the book name. I'm reading this book called Thinking in Bets, Making Smarter Decisions When You Don't Have All the Facts. It's by Annie Duke. It's available on Audible. So once again, that book is Thinking in Bets, Making Smarter Decisions When You Don't Have All the Facts. I'll put a link down here too, so you guys can read it if you are interested. But I love this book so far because it's provoking thought. That's the thing. We have to be mindful and aware of what we're putting in us. Like, some people be like, all right, watch your calories. You know, you got to be like, oh, you know, watch what you're eating. Drink more water. A lot of people are out here dehydrated. Be careful. You know, things like that. But we're not aware of what we're putting in our minds and what we're seeing with our eyes. Risa says, you are okay. I think you're saying, okay, you are a projection of your environment. Whatever you put out into the universe will come back to you. Absolutely. It's like a boomerang. Seriously, it's like a boomerang. Like, you put that out there, that's what you're going to receive. There's no other reason why you would get anything else. You know what I mean? Because that's what your lens is set to, right? That's what you're focused on seeing. So thank you for writing that. That's absolutely true. So the thing is, I had to realize that was my thought, you know, of being not good enough. That was my thought of saying, well, everything sucks, because the thing is, I was operating out of that. Like, that's how I was moving, right? Like, somebody would say, like, oh, you look great today. And I'm like, I couldn't even take a compliment. You know what I mean? I couldn't even take a compliment, to the point where I was just like, I was the person that, like, if somebody gave me a compliment, I'm like, you're just saying that. You're just saying that. You're just saying that. Like, that's who I was. I would never accept it because I was afraid of getting hurt, because compliments were actually hurting me. I'll never forget. There was this time where I was in, I worked for a major cable company, cable provider in the Northeast. And I think my manager at the time gave me a compliment. She's like, you're really good at blah, blah, blah. You know, like, I took myself into I was like, hey, thanks. And I was holding back, like, all these emotions. And I remember going to my car and bursting out into tears. Like, I remember I was devastated. I was like, why would she ever say something like that to me? I laugh at it now because it's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous for me. All right, here's a link to that book. It was ridiculous to me to be like, somebody's giving you a compliment and you're upset about it. Why? You know? And then I realized it was because, hi, Auntie, how you doing? I realized what it was is that I felt I didn't deserve it. You know what I mean? I felt, because I was operating out of that frequency of self-doubt and not feeling good enough. And by her giving me a compliment, it was like my brain registered it as, how dare she tell me something that's not true? And that's also the link to, I just put the link to Risa's book as well. So you can check that out, called Deep Within. Yeah, so it was very interesting. And you know what? I had to look at myself. because I can't blame anybody else. That's the thing. You cannot blame anybody else but yourself. And it's not, when I say blame, I don't mean like go punch yourself in the face, like, how dare you? Like, that's the worst thing to do, right? That's like the absolute worst thing to do. It's not to blame yourself. It's about to ask yourself. And that's the thing. It's about asking the right question, because that's how you get the result of seeing like, okay, what am I doing here to provoke this thought? So with some soul searching, I realized that there was nothing available in my mind for me, absolutely 110%. And that's actually what I'm getting at. Taking ownership for your actions, right? Because that's what I had to realize. Like, I was just like, hold on a second. Day in and day out, I do the same thing. I went to work, I came home, played video games or whatever. And for me, those video games like helped me escape, helped me connect with other people and do things that I never thought I could do. Like, I'm driving a race car. Like, I'm not a race car driving in real life. Like, I don't feel like taking that risk. So I did it on the video game, I used to be like people like, yo, you want to hang out? No, can't do it. I'm home with my computer. Like, I'm fine. You know what I mean? And I literally isolated myself. But then I actually, one of the greatest things as far as wisdom is taking a step outside of your mind and looking at yourself, like looking at your actions and asking yourself, why? Why was this the appropriate action for me? Like, why? You know what I mean? Having that curiosity about self, because the one thing, and this is a David Goggins quote, the one thing we don't test enough is our minds, right? We don't look at our emotions. We don't look at what caused us to get there. We don't spend enough time on that. And we don't challenge it. That's the thing. We don't challenge it. We just accept it. Like, okay, that's how I've always done it. So that's just what it is. Okay, I understand. But what about if we put something else into our minds? Like, just like Risa said, like taking ownership and being like, okay, what if I did something different? Because just like Einstein says, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. For example, if you say my life is horrible, if you say, I never do anything right, if you say I just, pardon my French, F everything up, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to be good enough, nothing changes, everything sucks for me, that's just how it is. If you operate out of that, you're always going to get that. Don't ever think that that's going to change. However, with new information, no matter what age, what status, where you're at in life, you can actually be on that trajectory to create change and manifest it in your life and receive those blessings from it. But it has to start with a conscious decision to change. You know what I mean? Because when we take ownership in that, that's when we start the steps, right? I was actually looking online today. I was just like, what is it, Risa? Like, I was actually curious. Like, what is it about us? What is it about us as humans that prevent us from taking ownership? What is it? Like, for example, somebody says, you know what? You did this and you did that and you did this, right? Like, let's say we take a step back and we look at it, right? Let's say, like, for example, did you check to make sure that there was enough milk in the fridge before you left the house? Yeah. Well, there's no milk in the house. Why didn't you get any milk? Well, I thought there was milk there when I left. It's like, we don't say, you know what? Hey, I forgot to check to see if there was milk there. I should have checked. You're right. You know what I mean? That is like seldomly used, right? It's seldomly used that we take ownership and say, you know what? I actually forgot to do that. Instead of what we do is we'd be like, hold on a second. It wasn't like that when I left. We don't ever say, I forgot. We don't say, you know what? I apologize. It was my fault. We don't do that. And I realized, I said, what is that? Why is it that we put blame on others for our actions or for not doing something? What, like when we are, like, I mean, rightfully at fault. I'm not saying like ridiculous stuff. Like it's your fault why the nation is 2 million in debt. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about like simple stuff. Why do we not take ownership? And I realized that what it is, actually, I was on psychology.com, and this is the thing. I want you guys to take this kind of not so much with a grain of salt, but like just for thought-provoking conversation. That's all we're doing. We're doing thought-provoking conversation. I found on psychology.com that, where is it? I'm going to just go from what I read, but it's because of ego. Exactly, Risa. Risa says, we get defensive so quick that it clouds our vision to actually focus on what's right. 110%. 110%. Let me put that back up there. Because that's the thing. We're just like, we put up a block immediately. Like, I need to protect everything that is gloriously me. Trust me, I've done it. I'm like, well, first of all, I didn't do it. Okay? I didn't do it. You know, it wasn't me. Even if it wasn't me, I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to. Oh, really? Did you make a post of it? That would be so funny, Risa. Full circle. Risa says, check out my post from earlier. I will. But that's the interesting thing. It's because our ego is so large and blown out of proportion that we're like, me? Do wrong? Absolutely not. That's like, don't take that voice. If you guys have an accent, don't take that voice like personally. Like literally, that's the voice in my head. Like, that's like my perfection voice. Like when I have those moments where I think like I didn't do anything wrong, it's like, how dare you question? It's like, you know, like king, queen, whatever. Anyway, but that's the thing. We get so defensive and we don't, this is the thing. We're so quick to react. We're so quick to be like, wall. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to think and a little bit of time to put new information into our minds. As I mentioned to you guys before, for those of you that have been here on a Pryce on Purpose talk, I love to read. And my mom would always be like, look, you need to read. You read a book, you need to read a book. Read a book, you need to read a book. All summer, you read a book, you need to read a book. She didn't really sound like that, but I'm exaggerating. My parents are Jamaican. I'm just exaggerating. So my mom's here like, Stacey, I don't talk like that. But anyway, reading was something that was instilled in my culture, in my household. You know what I mean? And once I started to find books that I enjoyed, I stuck with it. And I started just like going on this like crazy journey. I said, you know, like I said, I'm doing this experiment to see, is it possible for somebody to change their habits by putting in new information and working on themselves? So far, the answer is yes. You can teach someone, no matter their age, their circumstance, their culture, their financial status, you can teach someone. However, just like the saying goes, whether you could teach an old dog new tricks, they have to be ready to receive. That is most important. Most important, you must be ready to receive. So for example, if you're in a moment where you were actually wrong, but you put up a wall, you're literally putting up a wall like, I'm not going to learn anything today. You can't see me. You know what I mean? I laugh because I've been there. 110%. I've been there where it's like, me? Absolutely not. How dare you consider me at fault? What are you, mad? Right? Like, I've been there. You know what I mean? But what I realized in these moments of putting in new information, reading, being conscious of self and taking a look at myself, I realized the more I learn to put the walls down, the more I learn, right? Listen, the more I put the walls down, the more I learn. The more I accept perspective, the more I learn. The more I read, the more information, the more research that I do, the more I learn. Some people like to say, you know, I'm up there, you know, like the number one thing, some of us older people, right? Some of us that have been here for quite some time would be like, cell phone. I don't want to learn all that stuff. All right. I don't want to get into that because we're a little nervous. We're a little scared because it's like, are you telling me that there's things that are happening outside of my control? Are you telling me that there's something going on that I'm not aware of? Like, what the heck is this? You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard for us to grasp that. Like with me in math, I was like, math? First of all, I don't do that, okay? I read because that's my comfort zone, okay? I could read all day. I could write you a paper in 2 seconds. I can give you a research paper in a minute. That's my comfort zone. But math? Oh my goodness. I'd be like, E is equal to, gotta go. You know what? I gotta use the bathroom. You know what? I didn't eat today. Okay. I didn't eat today. So maybe it's not the best time for me to do. Like, I would make so many excuses because it's like your brain's just like danger zone. Danger zone. I can't, I won't, I don't want to, you know what I mean? And the thing is, in those moments, those are the moments we got to question ourselves and be like, wait a minute. What if, right? What if I give it a try? What if I just look into it? Let me do some research. Let me just like look into this a little bit. Let me tell you, it's 5:26, so it's almost time to end, but I want to say this. This moment that we're sharing together, I'm so grateful for it because we are at a moment that has never happened in human history. Think about it. There are people, like I have family in Jamaica all over that's watching right now. I have people that I don't know where they are. People have listened to my podcast all over the world. Gratefully so. And the only reason why that is possible is because of the internet. Think about it. We're in a moment in society, in human history, where technology connects us. There are no barriers. Like, you could actually see something on the news, and something on the news could be like, this building fell down, or this happened. And you can call up somebody or go online and be like, is it true? Is it true? And they could be like, you know what? Yes, I was there. Here's a picture. It's unfortunate, whatever. You could actually confirm these things now. We have so many outlets where we could literally reach out to one another. We have so many outlets where we could share information and knowledge. Like, there's no barrier now. Like, even if you say can't afford or pay for internet, or your internet sucks, or whatever the case is, you can go to libraries. You can ask a friend. You can ask a neighbor. Like, somebody has internet access. Like, think about it. Like, on my phone right now, think about it. We carry computers in our pockets. When would you have ever imagined? What is the movie called? What's the movie called? I can't remember the name of the movie. Hidden Figures. Hidden Figures. Crazy movie. Amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Watch that movie called Hidden Figures. It's about these amazing women in our history, that Black women, African-American women, that helped NASA get a man into space. A story that a lot of us didn't learn in school, but there's a great movie about these women. And one of the things that I noticed in that show or that movie was the size of the computers. I don't know if you guys were around, but do you remember when computers took up like buildings? Like, a computer had to take up like a room. Like, multiple like things had to take up a room. We have computers in our pockets. Like, think about that. And that's because we share information. Like, somebody does something like, okay, Russia's doing this. Oh, the United States, oh, China's doing this. We share information, sometimes whether it's willingly or not, but we get it somehow, right? But think about it. These are older adults. These are people that have been through school, but they wouldn't be able to make these things possible without learning something new. So what I do and what I say for today, I don't want to run too much over, but in conclusion, yes, you can learn something new. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's not about how many times you try, because let me shout out to E.T., the hip hop preacher. Check him out. This man took 12 years to get a 4-year degree. Okay. And what he said was, on that certificate, when you get your PhD or when you get your degree, it doesn't say how long it took. It doesn't. It doesn't say how long it took. All it says is that you passed. You have this PhD. So there's nothing. So time, I think I wrote today, like, start to focus on the promise. Don't focus on the time that it's taking you to get there, right? That's even something I have to remind myself. And that's why I wrote it to me today. Because sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, dang, Stacey, you've been in this podcast game for 6 years. Where the money at? Or you've been in this podcast game. Where Oprah at? Oprah ain't on your show yet. And that's pressure I'm putting on myself. But at the end of the day, I had to remember. I said, remember the promise. What's the promise? I said, oh, yeah. The promise is for me to not go into depression. Have I done that? Yes. Even though I had moments of depression, I still got myself out of it because I had this show. Thank God. Thank God. You know what I mean? I had this show and I keep going, right? That's the promise. The promise is to share what I learned through my downfalls so you can learn from it, or to share the information. So that's why I always say click like and click share, because there's somebody that we don't even know, right? Because not everybody reaches out to everybody. Some people go through depression on their own time, like, nah, I got it. I'm going to stick to myself. Or they're going through anxiety and they're like, no, I got it. I stick to myself, right? But the thing is, there may be somebody out there that you know or don't know that's going through something. So click like and share on this video so that they can be like, you know what? Look, so-and-so, I know you may or may not be going through something, but hey, I saw this person that's been through it. Even when I had Tiffany Mosher on, and she said that she went through depression, she ended up in the psych ward, but now she's out here changing lives while she helps herself to be a better human. The thing is, yes, you can learn. I don't care how old you are. When I went to my sister's graduation, when she graduated from college, there was a woman that was in her 80s that got her degree from college, and it was her granddaughter. Excuse me. It was her granddaughter that handed her degree. I'm getting all passionate. Excuse me. Losing my voice here. Thank you for being patient. But do you understand? Like, the grandmother and granddaughter graduated in the same class. Yeah, you definitely do get clarity at your worst, because you know what the funny thing is? Our weaknesses and our downfalls and our worst moments are actually our gift, because it's when we come out of it, we learn, we evolve, we grow, and guess what? Now you could tell your story. You can help somebody else that may be in need. One last thing before we go. I was listening to E.T. I was listening to his book on Apple Music. And he said some things about Van Gogh. Now, Van Gogh, my parents have some paintings, some replicas about Vincent Van Gogh. And it's so funny that this comes full circle. Because with Van Gogh, right? Look at his art. People were like, that's not art, right? Do you know this man is one of the most well-known, most amazing artists in our history of humanity? This man went through depression because he lost a brother that happened to be named the same name as him. And he actually cut off his own ear and shot himself in the chest from going through this. But he was able to still be an artist because he was going through such sadness, and the art came out of that. Think about that. Think about that for a second. Somebody was going through such a tough time of depression, and they were able to bring themselves out of it, and look at what they created. You know, a lot of us don't even realize that some of the best artistry comes from sadness. Some of the best work comes from depression. But the thing is, we don't get to see it if we keep doing the same thing over and over. We only get to see it by teaching ourselves something new, or asking for help, or confiding in a friend, or getting a therapist, or seeking a life coach. Like, I'm so thankful I got a meeting with my life coach tomorrow. I'm like, yes. At the same time, I'm like, crap. Because that means I got to deal with something. That means I got something to deal with. So last thought, teach yourself something new. It's important. Don't think that you can't do it. The only person that's saying you can't do it is you. And if somebody else is saying that you can't do it, it could mean that you're operating out of a frequency that makes them think that you can't. But it's not them that you need to listen to, it's you. Let them stay in their lane and say, you're never going to amount to anything. You can't do it. What? Make money off of that? Are you crazy? You're going to quit your job? You're going to do it. You can't listen to other people. You can't let people dictate and determine what you know who told you to do. You know what I mean? You got to listen to yourself. You got to look into yourself, because at the end of the day, you got a million people that can root against you. Why would you add yourself into that category? You know what I mean? So try something new. I don't care what it is. Ride a bike, skateboard, knit, crochet, read a book that you've never thought you would ever read before. Find a way to do something new. Take a walk, take a different way home, do something different, because if you keep doing the same thing you've always done, you're going to get the same thing you've always got. So guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me here on, ain't nobody joining on Clubhouse, but we going to keep it going. Thank you guys for joining me on Podbean, where I'm broadcasting live, Facebook, my family, my friends I haven't met, whether you're on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Thank you so much. Please, once again, I would gratefully appreciate it if you click like and click share on this video. Like I said, there's a lot of us going through stuff, right? And some of us talk about it, some of us don't. Hey, everybody's private and what they want to be private with. But you know what? I choose to share my journey because at the end of the day, I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. There's other people going through this stuff. You know what I mean? So if we continue to share the information, look, I'm still willing to learn. Gratefully so. I'm grateful that I get to be here another day, thank God, to learn and absorb. I got another shot at this. You know what I mean? We get so many chances with life, but if we don't take those chances and opportunities, we're going to be like, we're going to throw our hands up. We don't want to get that. We don't want to be like that. Thank you so much, Risa. I really appreciate that. So guys, thank you again for joining another episode of Waist Off Podcast presents Pryce on Purpose. I am Stacey Pryce. Make sure you go ahead and click the link tree. It's in I'll just share it again because I know how it is. Sometimes scrolling up, you're like, scroll up. What? You want me to do what? I get it. Okay. Make sure you click the links to the books I told you about, because like I said, you got to put new information in there. You know, if you sit and watch the news all day, read the paper, yeah, I understand it's important, but you got to be mindful about that. You know, think about how you feel when you watch those things. Does it make you feel happy? Put new information in you so that now you can change yourself and enlighten somebody else. That's how we grow as a people. We all have a purpose. We just got to find out what it is. You know what I mean? So make sure you click the link tree. Check out the book by Risa Bates called Deep Within. Also check out the book by Annie Duke, Thinking in Bets, Making Smart Decisions When You Don't Have All the Facts. I appreciate you guys. Go have an amazing rest of your week. You deserve it. And I'll see you next week. Like I said, every Tuesday we do Spontaneity. That's live with myself, Maria Daniels, and Sean Dustin. And then every Wednesday, 4:55 p.m., I've got this amazing show, Waist Off Podcast presents Pryce on Purpose. I hope to see you guys next week. Thank you so much for being here. You know, I am so grateful. You guys help me to be a better me. I hope I help you to be a better you. Just go out there and be great. Later, guys.